Welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna work on mocking out the engine mounts and the seat mounts so we can continue on with tube work. So we used some cardboard and we made a template. It all fits. Take it over the computer, measure everything out, and then clean it up. So we got the passenger mount fit. The driver's side, I use the same template and it fits, except for this mount here will require a bend. So what we're gonna do is oblong the holes a little bit, so that way once we bend it, everything will line up. So the cardboard template did fit on the driver's side as well. So instead of making just round holes, we made them a little bit longer, so that way when we bend it, the plate can move if need be to make sure it fits. All right, let's get this driver's side one cut out and cleaned up. So I bent the middle of the plate with the press brake, and then I put it in the bench vise and used a big crescent wrench. It's not completely perfect, but it's really close. So let's see if it bolts up. Got the engine mount plate bolted up. It bolts up nicely. So now we just have to make the frame side mounts. All right, now that we got both engine plates bolted up, we're gonna do the same type I did on mine. We're just gonna do 2 tabs off of the frame and keep a DOM bushing right next to the frame as close as we can. That way, whenever we remove the engine mount, we have as much space to work on as possible. Alright, we got a piece of deal in, we cleaned it all up, and then this is what's going to be the motor mount. So we just got to slide the bolt through and use these bushings. And this will just end up sitting right in here somewhere. Alright, so we got one of the seats mocked up. I did throw a couple tabs in just trying to locate it. So we are going to make a cross member between the upper links for the rear side of it, and that will give us our inner mounts for the seats. And then from there, all we have to do is figure out the front mounts, and that's going to be tricky because they're really close to the transfer case, but we'll figure that out a little bit later. Right now I want to get the seats both located and that cross member in so we can get at least 3 mounts in, and that way the seats aren't moving around on us. So for this cross member tube, I want to go from that node point where the link is all welded up to the main frame and the subframe, go from there straight across to the other side, but obviously the drive shaft will be right in the middle of that. So we're going to come across and then we're going to do a offset bend here and then back down and over. Well, I got it fitting pretty good. The seat fits nicely, but I don't like the space here for the Atlas because this needs to be all serviceable, and it would be kind of a pain to have to pull everything forward just to get this out. Hopefully we'll never have to pull this anyways, but want to keep serviceability in mind. So I'm going to notch it into this link mount. That way I can slide it up and it will cross with this tube all the way across. Should give us enough room to service the Atlas. Alright, so with this all moved back and notched into the link, gave us a little bit more room here. And it looks like the tab for the inner rear of the seat is going to be the same as the outside. So I'll get one of those cut real quick, and then we'll start mocking up the passenger seat. Well, both seats are all tacked in. Still have some space between the B-pillar. And there's also space between the seats, about an inch or so, and then all the shifters clear. We got quite a bit of space there. Everything's looking pretty good. They're pretty even with each other. Still got quite a bit of space. The shifter is all the way back, so it can't go back any farther, and then the Atlas shifters will mount in front. With the seats set in, that means we can start finishing out the tube work. So I can work on the B-pillar and then the roof bars, get all that tied together and nice and strong. Right now it's all open, so once the B-pillar's in, it'll be nice and strong. With the seats in, let's get this B-pillar figured out. Bend that up, and then we can get the roof bars figured out real quick, and then cage will be mostly complete. E-pillar completed out. Now we're gonna work on the roof tubes. Then taking each tube out one at a time, clean them all up. That way everything's prepped for welding. And then double checking all the measurements as it goes back together before it gets tacked up. Going to continue from the B-pillar forward, get everything cleaned up, and then what we're going to do is weld out all the mains. So what I mean by that is when there is a tube like this overlapping another tube, I want to weld underneath it. So before this tube goes back in, I want the underside welded on the entire cage, and that'll help give us some strength front to rear, so we can start getting this thing on bump stops and coilovers and flex testing and stuff like that. We decided to strip down the entire thing and clean all the tubes up. So this is all the front half, the main roll cage, and then the back half still on the truck. Cleaned all that up in place. So we'll start putting the V-back pillar back in and then work forward. All right, we got the entire cage all reset. While doing that process, everything was remeasured to make sure everything was nice and even.